Okay, the purpose of this video is just to share a tip that I think most people would find very useful for replacing specifically for replacing the upper and lower outer races when you're replacing the steering bearings on your motorcycle. My bike is a Kawasaki Z750 2008, so we're looking at the exploded parts view there for the steering stem and the front fork basically. So basically what we're on about here is your lower and upper races are inserted in here and here. So there's the upper one that's driven into that and the bottom one into the bottom. Now in my case, the kits you buy two kits for replacing steering bearings, one for the upper and one for the top. They're both identical kits in my case. Usually for most motorbikes I imagine would be the same. So to install the outer races, you would typically need some specialist tools for that. On the Kawasaki manual, they have special tools for just that. One is the head pipe outer race press shaft. So what you do with that is basically you insert it down through the steering stem with a piece attached to the bottom, and there's a piece attached underneath the nut at the top. Something similar to what you see down here. And what you do is you tighten it up, the nut, and it draws the two pieces together. And what it does is it presses in the outer races, upper and lower outer races simultaneously. You tighten it up good and tight, pushes forces the races into the seat fully. So that's a pretty useful way of doing it. But these tools are very expensive, I found. You're going to be paying somewhere in the region of maybe 50-60 euros easy, I'd say. And that's probably per part, you know. So they're quite expensive, and you know, if you're only doing this job maybe once every few years, it's maybe not justified in making such a purchase. But I found a way simpler way which costs you nothing and just requires a couple of basic tools. So I'll just get to that. And basically what you need, instead of the likes of this and these tools, all you need to do is basically retain one of the original races that you've replaced, that you've driven out initially. Just retain one. It's going to be used basically to install the new race. And how we do it basically is, you'll notice that this old race has a slice taken out of it. How we did that, the easiest thing would be to use a rotary tool. Just cut a slice. It'll take you a minute or two. Just doesn't have to be perfectly straight. It just, you know, it doesn't need to be straight at all. You can see it has a kind of a spring effect. Let's see. Doesn't really demonstrate that well. Okay, but it generally retains its original diameter once you cut that notch out of it. And what we do basically is, when you get your new races, the easiest thing to do is just when you're installing them is just maybe use a flat piece of wood and just gently tap them at first. Try and get them as lined up squarely as possible, and try to tap them as squarely as you can. Just tap them a little bit at first to get them in, because you don't want to whack them and get them misaligned and then have to pop, bang them out again. So if you just get them in line nice and straightly, then what you can do is just demonstrate this here with another one. With your race sort of half inserted into the steering stem, basically you just line up with the old race with it like that. And if you think about it, these components are precisely engineered and ground, so it will be a perfect fit. And you can use the old race to drive home the new race. Now, ordinarily, you'd have a problem where you drive in the new race with the old one, and the old one will get stuck in with the new one. Now, if you cut, the purpose of this notch is basically to avoid that. So once you've driven home the new race, you just simply squeeze this one together and it pops out. And basically, well, you could throw that one away, because next time you replace the bearings you could just use the race that you've installed. I think that's a pretty useful way of installing it, and you know, there's absolutely no fear of the old race getting stuck. You know, if you weren't to cut that slice in it, it would get stuck in with the new one, and you would have a doubly horrible job of removing both of them, really. So, and you probably damage the new one. So, I hope that tip is useful to people. So, it's a bit crude that it's my first video, so it's a little bit crude. So sorry about that.